Darkness. Silence. Then a voice. Deep, feminine, powerful. You have been chosen. Derek groaned. His body ached. His brain felt like it had been drop-kicked by a gorilla. His mouth tasted like burnt toast. And most importantly, he was very naked. His eyes shot open. Oh. Oh no. He was lying flat on a cold, metallic surface in what looked like a massive arena, a coliseum, but sci-fi. Above him, thousands of towering, muscular, armor-clad aliens watched with interest. There were banners. Floating drones. A massive glowing sigil burned in the sky, pulsing every time the voice spoke. Derek blinked. He had so many questions. A shadow loomed over him. And then he saw her. 10 feet tall. Muscles carved from alien perfection. Skin with a shimmering galactic hue, shifting between deep blues and violet. Wild silver hair cascaded down her back, adorned with glowing bands. Her eyes burned gold, filled with the judgment of a war goddess. She was also wearing the most impractical battle armor Derek had ever seen. Metal pauldrons, spiked wrist guards, some shiny plates on her thighs, and absolutely nothing that covered anything important. A golden chest harness barely held back physics, and a sheer, flowing sash wrapped around her waist for no functional reason whatsoever. Derek's brain stalled. The alien beauty crossed her arms, studying him like a scientist observing a particularly dumb specimen. Humph, smaller than I expected. Derek instinctively covered himself. Yeah. Little warning next time before abducting a guy in the buff? Silence, human. You have been chosen for the rite of combat synergy. Derek blinked. Rite of, what now? You are to become my champion. A long pause. I'm sorry, what? The crowd roared, chanting something in a deep, guttural language that sounded both reverent and mildly threatening. Derek's brain scrambled for any logical explanation, and found none. He pointed at himself. Ma'am. With all due respect. Have you seen me? I get winded going up a flight of stairs. I have zero combat training. Hell, I work IT. You ever try troubleshooting a printer over the phone with an old lady who doesn't know what a power button is? That's my battlefield. The Aethira's eyes narrowed. And yet you are here. Derek threw up his hands. Yeah. Against my will. Look, I'm flattered that you need a champion or whatever, but I'm not your guy. You do not choose human. I have already made the claim. A collective gasp from the crowd. The warriors looked, scandalized. A few whispered amongst themselves, and Derek caught snippets of their language, something about bonding, synergy, and a term that vaguely sounded like ritual consummation. His stomach dropped. Oh no. That sounded weirdly intimate. He slowly backed away. When you say champion you mean fighting partner, right? The Aethira tilted her head. Battle synergy must be absolute. And that means our bodies must align in perfect rhythm. Derek turned pale. Okay, so that definitely sounded sexual. The Aethira grinned. A sharp, fanged, warrior goddess grin. Then you understand the importance. Derek absolutely did not understand. He turned on his heel to run, but 2 hulking alien guards grabbed him by the arms and lifted him like a misbehaving toddler. Oh, come on! No consent laws in space? I demand a lawyer! The Aethira stepped closer. The sheer height difference between them was hilarious and terrifying. She towered over him, looking down as if examining a particularly amusing bug. You will prove yourself in the trial. If you survive, the bond is sealed. Derek let out a nervous chuckle. Right. And if I don't survive? Then you were unworthy. A tense beat of silence. Derek gulped. I see. So, real win-win situation here. The crowd roared as the Colosseum floor split open. A massive, glowing pit emerged, radiating energy. Runes lit up across the arena. Weapons hovered in midair, surrounded by a swirling aura of power. The Aethira extended a long, clawed finger toward the weapons. Choose your instrument, champion. Derek stared at the floating assortment of deadly alien weaponry. Blades crackling with lightning, plasma spears, something that looked like a chainsaw-sized hybrid, and slowly turned back to Viethyra. You got anything non-lethal? Maybe a foam bat? A really firm pillow? The crowd burst into laughter. Viethyra's expression did not change. Derek sighed. Didn't think so. He reached out and, completely at random, grabbed the smallest weapon, a dagger about the size of a kitchen knife. The arena fell silent. Viethyra's eyes widened. The warriors gasped. Derek frowned. What? What did I do? One of the older warriors muttered in shock. The blade of matrimonial synergy. He chooses the dagger of binding. A second gasp. Derek felt his soul leave his body. He turned to Viethyra, face pale. Okay, I feel like I just made a really bad decision. Viethyra grinned wider. Indeed. Now we begin. Derek screamed internally. Derek barely had time to process his life-altering mistake before the ground beneath him shifted, forcing him forward. A pulse of energy surged through the arena, signaling the start of whatever trial of synergy nonsense he had unknowingly agreed to. Viethyra strode forward, rolling her shoulders. Every muscle flexed with predatory grace. She looked like she was about to crush something, and unfortunately, that something seemed to be him. We begin with the first phase, combat synchronization. Derek blinked. That sounds a lot like fighting. It is. Right. And just for clarification, you know I'm human, right? Viethyra raised an eyebrow. You are small, fragile, and untested, but your kind is known for adaptability. Okay, so you don't know what that word means. Got it. Before Derek could negotiate a peaceful alternative, Viethyra vanished in a blur of motion. A fraction of a second later. Boom! Derek barely managed to throw himself sideways as a massive fist slammed into the ground where his face had been. The impact left a crater. The crowd erupted in cheers. Are you trying to kill me? Derek scrambled back, barely dodging a follow-up swing that whistled past his head. Do not flee, human! This is training. Training for what? A closed casket funeral? Viethyra came at him again, forcing him to react on pure survival instinct. He had never fought in his life, unless you counted arguing with customer service reps over expired warranties. But apparently, blind panic was an effective strategy, because as she lunged, Derek instinctively ducked, and her fist whiffed just inches over his head. The crowd gasped. Viethyra halted, blinking down at him. You dodged. Derek stared at his hands like they had just performed a miracle. Yeah? Totally meant to do that. Good. Again. Wait, no, let's. GH. She came at him faster, forcing him into a series of flailing, undignified dodges. He tripped, rolled, somehow avoided every strike by sheer accident. The crowd's shock grew. Viethyra's expression shifted to intrigue. Your body moves erratically, without pattern. Lady, that's not a skill, that's a lack of coordination. No, it is unpredictability. Derek barely had time to register that before Viethyra changed tactics. This time, she feinted left, forcing him to react. His brain screamed, do something. So, he panicked and kicked her in the shin. Another gasp from the audience. Viethyra paused. Looked down. Derek froze. Oh no. The arena fell silent. Then, Viethyra grinned. A bold maneuver. Crude. But effective. She lunged again. Derek yelped, rolling away just in time. His brain went into overdrive, trying to make sense of what was happening. She was testing him. She wasn't trying to kill him, probably. She was seeing if he could keep up. And somehow he was. Derek exhaled. All right. Fine. Two can play this game. He dropped into a stance. Not a good stance, but a stance nonetheless. Viethyra's eyes gleamed with approval. Now you are ready? Derek wiped sweat from his brow. Wait, what do you mean now? We're still not done? Vieithira lunged again, but this time, Derek met her charge head-on. Derek's body moved on pure desperation, dodging and weaving as Vieithira attacked with relentless precision. Every time he barely avoided a strike, the crowd reacted like they were witnessing a miracle. Vieithira, however, looked genuinely amused. You are learning. Derek, drenched in sweat, gasped. I'm surviving! Big difference. Both are necessary. She came at him again, faster this time. Derek had no chance of overpowering her, so he did the next best thing, improvise. As she swung, he dropped to the ground, grabbed a handful of dust, and threw it straight into her eyes. A collective gasp from the crowd. Vieithira stumbled back, blinking furiously. Derek froze. Oh, he just did something really stupid. A long, tense silence followed. Then, clever. Derek blinked. Wait. You're not mad? Vieithira grinned. You have found a weakness and exploited it. This is good. Derek took a cautious step back. I feel like good is a stretch. Now we enter the trial of bonding. He nearly choked. Wait, the what? The crowd roared in approval as the ground shifted again, revealing an elaborate glowing circle. Derek had zero idea what was happening, but judging by the sheer amount of suggestive whispers, he had a very bad feeling. He turned to Vieithira, palms up. Okay, let's just establish some ground rules here. Our bodies must synchronize. Derek stared. I feel like there's a better way to phrase that. You must move as I move. Again, phrasing. Our energy must intertwine until we function as one. Lady, please stop talking. Vieithira extended her hand. Do you accept? Derek looked at the expectant crowd, the glowing runes, the fact that there was clearly no way out of this. He sighed. Sure. Let's fuse souls or whatever. The moment he touched her palm, electricity surged through his entire body. Then, everything went white. Heat surged through his veins like liquid fire, an overwhelming pulse of energy crackling from the point where his hand met hers. His muscles tensed, his skin tingled, and his brain felt like someone had plugged it into a malfunctioning power grid. He gasped, staggering as the air vibrated around them. The crowd erupted in a deafening roar. Vieithira's golden eyes blazed, locking onto his. The bond has begun. Derek winced. Cool. What does that mean exactly? Our bodies must synchronize completely. Okay, but do they have to tingle this much? Because I'm getting weird feelings in places. Vieithira smirked. That is natural. That does not make me feel better. His vision blurred as his body reacted instinctively. His stance adjusted, mirroring Vieithira's perfectly without him even thinking. His movements felt lighter, sharper, like his body was suddenly enhanced. And then she attacked. Not with fists. Not with weapons. But with motion. She twisted left, he twisted left. She lunged forward, he lunged forward. They weren't just moving together. They were moving as one. Derek's brain screamed. What the hell is happening? The bond is working. You are adapting. No, my body is possessed. This is illegal. You resist. Stop thinking. Trust the flow. Oh sure, let me just turn off my entire nervous system. Vieithira's movements slowed, testing him. She sidestepped. His feet moved without hesitation. She pivoted. His body mirrored her perfectly. The crowd watched in awed silence. You are proving unexpectedly competent. Derek exhaled sharply, swiping sweat from his brow. I'm just as surprised as you. Good. Now, we finish the trial. Derek froze. Finish? What? A blaring alarm cut through the air. A thunderous explosion rocked the arena. The sky split open as massive warships descended, their blackened hulls covered in glowing red sigils. Derek's stomach dropped. Vieithira grinned. The cybernetic warlords have arrived. Derek pointed wildly at the incoming death machines. And you're smiling? This is what I was preparing you for. Are you insane? She pulled him closer, their energies surging together. Do not falter, champion. Derek let out a high-pitched laugh that definitely wasn't heroic. I am so going to die. Vieithira's grip tightened. Not if we move as one. Derek groaned. Oh, I hate that this is working. The first wave of enemies dropped from the ships, and the battle officially began.